I finally made it this far. It's already been 2.5 years since we met.
So Akechi's been doing this for almost 3 years at this point in the game then. Because surely Akechi must have gotten his powers before meeting Shido. Because he wouldn't show up to Shido and be like, hey, I'm gonna get these powers. He'd be like, I already have them, and he'd have already worked out how the metaverse works, at least to an extent, right? That would be my assumption. Maybe only by like a month or two, but I imagine he probably had anywhere from 3 to 6 months prior to approaching Shido.
Back then, you earned the media's attention as a young politician who could rise up against bureaucracy. Because of that, those who wanted to preemptively deal with problems tried to tie you up in scandal.
To think I would fall for the ruse schemed by those decrepit fools in power. I recall that's when you came to me. You promoted yourself saying you had special powers. If it wasn't for the research on cognition that I dabbled in, I would have thought you insane.
I made those troublesome opponents psychotic, and erased any trace of that scandal.
Who'd think that tampering with a person's heart could trigger a psychotic lapse or mental shutdown? And when someone like that said he'd support me, I had suspected there'd be an ulterior motive.
It's because I sympathized with your aspiring ideology. I believed that your ideals needed to be achieved for the sake of the country's future.
Well, my faith in you was precisely why I pulled the plug on that research. I only need you using that power. It'd be troublesome if someone else uncovered how it works.
Wakaba Ishiki, was it? That researcher. She wouldn't have had to die if she just complied.
Any suspicions should be snubbed out. Even the smallest doubt must be severed at the root. After all, we had an active public prosecutor's office director on our side, until recently.
Astounding, isn't it? To think the director himself often forged evidence to secure his promotion. He was quite surprised when you confronted him about it. He didn't know who leaked that information. Well, I got that out of his shadow, so technically speaking, he did it himself.
This country's affairs have become stagnant. The political world is filled with old men who only act to preserve their own vested interests.
Yo, hold up again. I want to say, Shido, absolute scumbag, hate this guy, but he's got a point. I'm just saying. He might have a point.
The general public has forsaken such political affairs and don't even bother. Only ruin awaits us.
Sounds very Soul Hackers 2 right now.
I must agree.
There's no need to be ruined along with such incompetent fools. I will lead this country to its revival. Those who get in the way must be eliminated at times. That's the correct way to use the metaverse.
Still, it would stand out if there were continuous deaths and scandals with your political rivals, which is why I made them suspects. Prosecute the targets that I turn psychotic, and solve them as cases unrelated to you. And thus, the charismatic ace detective was born.
Thanks to your efforts, my clean image remains untarnished, and I've monopolized public opinion. Once I gained public sentiment, collaborators from all sectors began approaching me on their own.
Really nice of these guys to run us through this, by the way. There's no reason for them to talk to one another like this. They already know everything that they're saying. It's purely for us to know what's going down. Really appreciate it.
The police were no exception. With their management in my pocket, keeping them in check was easy.
When the Phantom Thieves emerged, I thought things might become somewhat troublesome.
And they were just brats once we looked into it. All we needed to do was lay the blame on them.
When you told me that, I knew then that you were the better man.
Their popularity was a bit beyond my expectations, but flipping it made the negative press stronger. After that, all I had to do was openly berate them. I've been gaining more supporters since.
Oh, Shido and Akechi hold this meeting once a week to summarize what's happening? Understandable. You gotta make sure you're on the up and up. Compare notes.
The current administration is dead with ongoing scandals. Never mind the fact that they're my doing. Even the government parties have begun splitting up, and they're dissolving just as planned. The time has finally come. Just a little more, and I will take the seat of Prime Minister. However, inauguration isn't my goal. That's when everything truly begins. I'll make this country rich for the sake of its selfish and ignorant masses who can only rely on others.
In other words, you're creating a powerful country that can compete with the world.
The public resonates with my ideals and follows me. And for that, some sacrifices can't be avoided. That is my duty as the chosen one. Your assistance has been very influential in making my plans proceed smoothly. When I become Prime Minister, I'll grant whatever wish you want.
With this most recent case, my name has become known across the country, perhaps even the world. Surely my story will be passed down as a hero who won against monsters that could control people's hearts. I believe I'll lay low and devote myself to my studies.
I suppose with your age, you wouldn't come up with debauched desires.
I find this sentence so funny.
I am thinking about the future, though.
Well, how do I put this?
Looks like things have finally settled down, or have they? Life's gonna get real busy for you starting tomorrow, right? Get some rest.
Well then.
The Chief's right. Let's take it easy for today.
Remember how I hijacked your phone during the school trip? That kinda came in handy.
Yeah, also still an insane breach of my privacy. Please stop. How so?
Well, remember how I put that wiretap app in Akechi's phone? Basically, that let me see GPS info for 2 phones, yours and his. I'd be able to tell the precise moment Sai Nijima, who had your phone, ran into Akechi. That's when I saw my chance, and beep, sent the signal to activate the Metaverse Navigator. But there was a chance they'd just pass each other without saying a single word. That's why we needed you to tell Sai Nijima to show the phone to Akechi. This plan still surprises me no matter how many times I hear it.
Yeah, dude, totally. So how did you do the part where Akechi got out of the metaverse without realizing it, Futaba?
Still, I couldn't just directly hack into the Metaverse Nav. It's a mysterious app after all. But you know how it has that bookmark function? All you have to do is push the button. Making the phone think he was pushing that button was totally doable. Pretty good, huh?
Yeah, how'd you get him back out of the metaverse so that he wouldn't realize? Alright, cool.
So,
Oh, by the way, the police report on your death isn't going to show up at your school. No need to worry. Seems Prosecutor Nijima worked out some kind of deal with the higher-ups or something. I mean, they haven't even said anything to me, even. As long as you stay quiet, you'll be fine. I find it very strange that Akechi and Shido wouldn't catch notice of Sai going out of her way to hide the death certificate at all, but I guess they don't care.
well,
And I guess if they reported your death now, they'd basically be saying you were a Phantom Thief. They can't really go announcing what the Phantom Thieves are, so I'm sure they'll avoid that. At any rate, I'm glad you're back safe and sound, but even that's putting it too lightly. You had it rough in there, didn't you? Yeah, don't worry about it.
Sorry.
Akechi was after you all along. I knew it was risky, but we had no choice but to depend on him. But thanks to your tenacity, you were able to fool him. It's payback time. Let's make him regret underestimating the Phantom Thieves.
It may not have looked like it, but everyone else was risking their lives too. Though there's no doubt you were the most at risk. I mean, you actually got arrested. But it seems like all the drugs and stuff made you forget the details of the plan.
Very convenient for storytelling purposes.
Want me to explain how it all went down? It might take a bit.
I only have like 10 more minutes. Sure.
Well, since the rest of us didn't get captured, we had to act. We had to pretend we never wanted you to get arrested. Pretend the suicide news was a real shock. Basically, we had to act like we didn't know anything, 24/7. The enemy knows who we are, so we couldn't let our guard down even once while you were gone. If they had people watching us and realized what our plan was, they would have killed you immediately.
Futaba says 24/7 here, but me getting arrested and the suicide happening and it being announced all happens in a single day. Doesn't it? Or within 2 days? I'm pretty sure it all happens on 11/20, doesn't it? Doesn't it happen on that Sunday? Maybe it also took place on 11/19 is when we do the calling card. 11/20 is when everything happens. So like just 19 and 20 is the only time you have to do this?
Want to hear more?
Yeah, sure.
Another tough part was figuring out how to get Nijima and Akechi back from the Metaverse.
Oh, they actually explain this? I don't think I've ever seen this.
In order to return to reality, you have to go back to the point where you came into the Metaverse. So, Sai and Akechi had to go through where the nav was activated, as in, the hall where they met. Akechi would just come back the same way after the assassination. The real issue was Nijima.
There's no... That's ridiculous. You just walk by where you first activated it and then boom, you're out? I actually don't believe you. That's so dumb. That's wrong. That is a lie. Because don't Ryuji and Akira leave Kamoshida's palace just by walking out the entrance of it, even though they activated it, like, way back down that alleyway? Like, super far away from there? Absolutely not, Persona 5. Shut your mouth.
We needed to stop her for a moment before she headed back toward the interrogation room. But nothing can be sent to a phone inside a palace. So, I had to program the messages in beforehand.
Programming the messaging thing is pretty cool.
In doing so, I made it seem like the messages were coming at that exact moment in time. That part was kinda last minute, so I had to pull an all-nighter trying to get it set up. I'm really on a roll here. Wanna hear some more?
I refuse to believe that when you turn on the metanav, the way you get back out is to just step right where you went in at, instead of using the metanav in some fashion. When we leave a palace after getting the infiltration route set up, when we walk to the exit, the game has us pull out the phone and the metanav asks, "Are you done for today? Do you want to return?" As in, like, we have to confirm, yes, I want to leave. Also, yeah, On and Yusuke entered Madarame's palace from in front of that special door and fell from the sky. How did they get back out? If the way that you get out is to go back where you went in from. They had to go back up into the sky where they fell from to escape? That's not what happened. We used the app to just leave. At the end of the day, it's a really small plot hole, but it annoys me. It's the thing that makes it annoy me, even though it's relatively minor, is that it's surrounded by so many other minor, like, hey, this only works because, like, we just snap our fingers and make everything work exactly as we need it to in the moment, and they do it a lot during this sequence.
Let me see. Another problematic thing was... Oh yeah, tying Akechi up. That was really tough. I obviously don't mean the real Akechi. Even if we could do that, it would ruin our plan. The one we had to tie up was Nijima's cognitive Akechi.
They enter Futaba's palace like 20 million miles away. Also true. Also, like, you can't just use the metanav to leave from anywhere at any time, right? Because that's why they have to escape Sai's palace by running away instead of, like, if they could just press the button to be like, metanav, take me out at any moment, then they could just do that when they're ambushed at Sai's palace. Right? It's just, I don't know. It really feels like leaving and entering the metaverse just works however the writers need it to in the moment, and that's stupid.
This part's really complicated. I know you're tired. You sure you want to hear all of this now?
I actually have like 5 minutes left, Futaba, so if you could talk for about 5 minutes, that'd be great.
Well, we needed to lure Akechi into Nijima's palace and have him kill the cognitive version. But Akechi would have entered the palace immediately after meeting Nijima in the hallway, right? Because of that, there was a pretty decent chance he'd run into the cognitive Akechi. And if that happened, Akechi would have totally realized we'd lured him into the palace.
Hold up a second. I never even considered this. Because the reason why there's a cognitive Akira and a cognitive guard is because Sai walked past them and recognized them as being there. You're saying that when Sai went up to Akechi and interacted with him, a cognitive version of Akechi would have also been there, walking in there to shoot Akira? Akechi was in that room for wait a minute, what do you say after this? Do you explain?
Nobody actually even thought of this possibility until the night before the assassination. Makoto realized in the middle of the night. Then it was a huge mess trying to figure out what to do. In the end, we chose to sneak into the metaverse while the plan was happening to tie up the cognition.
What?
Because you told Sae to show him the phone, we expected her to chat with him for at least a bit. So, we had a few minutes to strike after the cognitive Akechi showed up, but before the nav activated.
No, you did not. You had like a minute, maybe 2. That conversation between Akechi and Sai and then the metaverse activating was insanely short.
It was Operation Tie Him Up. Though it wasn't really much of an operation in the end. Thankfully, Sai Nijima didn't know his true nature, so the one that appeared was an ordinary kid.
That's hilarious.
It was pretty simple surrounding him, knocking him out, and tossing him on another floor. But man, watching Makoto's skill was super amazing. I guess she does use Knuckles as her weapon. Basically, what I'm trying to say is, appreciate what everyone else did.
No, I refuse.
I just can't help but rant when I'm talking about stuff that interests me. Sorry about that. Just focus on resting up. You don't have to worry about anything else. And seriously, well done.
So the conclusion that we've reached at the end of this is that entering and leaving the metaverse just works however you need it to for the plot in the moment. Able to leave the metaverse by using the phone or whatever, whenever you need it to. Only able to leave the metaverse by going to where you entered from, whenever you need it to. Just whatever is most convenient at the time. Both Madarame's palace and Futaba's palace directly contradict the idea of you can leave the palace as long as you go to where you entered from. Mostly Madarame's palace from Yusuke and on falling from the sky, because that is not how they got back out of the palace in the slightest. And also, at the end of Futaba's palace, they, like, when it's crumbling and all, they leave the pyramid, and when they get to the bottom of the pyramid, they just, like, get out. In Kanashiro's palace, they jump out of it and then just vanish out of it instead of going all the way back to the ground to where they first entered from. It does not add up. That does not add up. At any rate, I'm glad you're back safe and sound. You had it rough in there. Yeah, we've already done this. All right, so now I just need to go to bed. Yeah.
And how do I put this?
How do you put this? All right, well, I've just got like 2 minutes left here anyway, so we're not even gonna go to bed because I don't want to get any more cutscenes. I think we might go to the Velvet Room next, but we got through all of the big lion's share of the plot stuff. We still have the classic, like, oh, you have to transition to the next deadline and get into Shido's palace and start that up. So we still have that to go through, but the majority of all the story stuff leading at the end of Sai's palace, we completed in today's stream, which is exactly what I was hoping would happen, which is great. Morgana and Igor, the prison master, will reach rank 10 by story very soon. We've got Makoto at 7, Haru and Futaba are both at 6, I believe, so not too shabby. Ryuji, we just need 1 more rank up. Akechi is basically maxed. He maxes out based on the story now. Once with Chihaya, we need to do this. We're gonna do this next stream probably, or the stream after. We need to make sure that the Twin Wardens are done so I don't accidentally forget about them. We're gonna max them out in the next stream or 2. Awai needs 3 more ranks. Oya needs 2. 6 with Shinya is a lot, and everyone else is maxed. So Kasumi in the 3rd semester will get 5 more ranks, so she's not technically maxed, but that's fine. I think it may be possible, with Chihaya's ability at least, as long as availabilities line up well, we might be able to max out every Confidant before the end of the OG Persona 5. We will definitely get them all maxed before the end of the playthrough, because anyone that I don't get maxed, I'll get maxed in the 3rd semester. But I think we might be able to max everyone out before the end of the original game. The original game ended after this next deadline with Shido. It was the end. But now we have the 3rd semester with Royal. Definitely we'll be able to max out all of the nighttime confidants. But the daytime ones are a little iffy. We need 4 with Futaba, 5 with Ryuji. Then this makes 9, 12. And then with Shinya, that's 18. I think we'll have 18 daytime hangouts available to us in this coming deadline. I'm fairly certain. So basically, as long as every single day, we also have to give up a day to the palace though, but the palace does not have a roadblock, it's 1 shot. But then we also have to give up a day to the calling card. But I think after the calling card deadline, they give you like 2 or 3 extra days before the actual end of the game where you can try and finish up any maxes that you didn't get. So I think we will have enough days. I basically, at nighttime, we can afford to miss out on like, oh, if we couldn't hang out with someone on one night, that doesn't matter because we have so few nighttime confidant rank ups left. But every daytime one, basically every single day option we have, we need to get a rank up. Otherwise, we'll probably miss it. And again, if we do, it's fine. We'll still max them all out in the 3rd semester. But I'd like it if we could max everyone out before the end of the OG game. That's my goal. But we'll get the platinum trophy and max everyone out by the end of the playthrough either way. So that is it, though. I believe we are done for today. For those of you watching on YouTube, I hope you enjoyed. If you want to catch these streams live, link to my Twitch channel description. I'd love to see you there. Or keep watching on YouTube. I appreciate your support either way. And until next time, farewell.